What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Stocks by the Numbers, and today I'm taking a look at SoFi Technologies, ticker symbol SOFI. Now, this is a financial services company. I know a lot of people were talking about their student loans, because I know that that everyone's suspended repayment of student loans during this whole pandemic and everything. But a lot of people are saying that once that resumes, a company like SoFi is going to benefit from stuff like that. But just want to look at it quickly from a technical analysis here. This is a one-year chart, and if we look here at this pattern, you got your bottom line, you got your top line, and this is making what is known as a descending wedge. Now, descending wedge is usually viewed as bullish. Then, in my opinion, I do think it will potentially pop up and break out a little bit, maybe even back up to like the $7 range. However, I think it's going to stay in this range going into earnings. Earnings coming up, it says roughly around August 11th. So in my opinion, this is going to stay in this range, and if it can get to the bottom of this range, which it only hit twice, so I'm not really sure about that. So if we go mid-range down to a couple of days before earnings, that's about a week before earnings, August 4th, and where are we? 447, right? So this, in my opinion, looks like it's going to pull back another 20-25% inside of the next 4, 5, 6 weeks. And you can position yourself here. I'd say any price under $5 isn't really too bad with a company like SoFi. And then you will potentially see a breakout if the earnings are, another beat like they've been. And then you're going to, see a pop-up here out of the descending wedge pattern, and then you're going to have a lot of short sellers scrambling to cover their short positions. But if we switch over here to the numbers, here we got 4.3 billion market cap, and if we come down here, last year they did $1 billion, so they're trading about 4.5 times total revenue. It's not the cheapest stock, but at the same time, it's not Rivian. It's not massively overvalued. So could it go up? Yes. Could it go down? Yes. As I mentioned here, technically, in my opinion, I think it is going to stay in this range, and then people are just going to wait for these numbers, and then they're going to say, oh, well, it's at 430, 470, it's too low. Now they keep eating earnings, everything's fine. Boom, we're going to bring the stock up. Obviously, if they miss earnings, I think the street's really going to beat it up. But over here, the way everyone's just maintaining, respect to Piper Sandler for giving an upgrade, the only one here recently. But when I just see multiple maintains, that's basically these big boys saying, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it. Because they probably don't know what the heck is going on, right? We're seeing growing revenues. At the same time, you are seeing an increase in earnings loss. I mean, look at that. 2020... that's when all this started. $565 million in revenue. They lost $2.25. Now we move here. Look, almost $1 billion. So they almost doubled their revenue, and they more than doubled their losses. So company's going through a little bit of a hard time right now. But I will say, consistently growing revenue year over year, consistently growing revenue quarter over quarter. So they're doing something right, right? The only thing is, again, a little less than $1 billion brought in, market cap 4.3 billion. There's a one-year chart. We're in a downtrend. So I do think that you can get this company sub $5 a share. If we come over here, we look at the financials real quick, and you see total revenue has been increasing, and this expense here caught my eye, right? Because these are big jumps. These are big jumps, and this is since 2020. And as you can see, this is a slight jump here from like 5 to almost 7, and then we're going from 7 to almost 9, and now 9 to almost 1.5. So, this, from 2020 to 2021, that's almost a 50% increase. But at the same time, they did see a nice jump in revenue. So this almost brings me back to the DraftKings situation where, if you're spending $1, $1.50 to make $1, in the short term, it's definitely going to hurt you. In the long term, it could potentially pay off, because this almost reminds me of a situation many, many years ago with a company called Take-Two Interactive Software. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, ticker symbol TTWO. This is a video game development company. They own Rockstar Games, which has the Grand Theft Auto IP. And obviously, it's multi-billion-dollar title. And basically, this company was doing the same thing, Take-Two. They were, $10, $11, $12 a share, and they were consistently reinvesting all of their earnings into R&D, into research and development, to better future titles and franchises, excuse me, and new IPs, right? And, if we look recently, I actually haven't looked at the stock in a while, but I remember seeing it, maybe like a year or two ago, and the stock was up at, $160, $170 a share, right? Now remember, when I first saw it, it was $10, $11, $12. Years. It took years. But at the same time, if there are places for you guys to park your assets, and then in years, it's worth 10, 12, 15 times what you put in today watching a video like this, then, obviously, you're going to look like a genius. You're going to look like a champ. So the one thing I like about this is, obviously, you got a couple of beats here on the EPS, but see, just look at this. Year over year, just consistently growing revenue. Quarter over quarter, consistently growing revenue. So with a situation like that, that is a good sign. That is a green flag, right? So in my opinion, when you want to be a buyer, right now it's about 4.5 times total revenue. So it definitely could come down. Like this market cap could shrink to $3 billion, no problem. And that'll be what, like a 25% drop. So yeah, that'll bring us down to like $4 and change. And again, if we go back technical analysis, we look here, it'll come down. Boom, you're looking at 4.5, and then boom, this thing's going to explode August 11th if they post a decent quarter. So kind of on both sides of the fence here with a company like SoFi. It could technically go up a little bit and get to these high fives here, but it could of course pull back and get to these low fours. So right now, I do believe, in my opinion, it is going to stay in this range here of this wedge, and possibly a week or two before earnings, it is going to start to rally up. It's probably going to get to the top of the range, and then if everything goes according to plan, it could potentially explode up to high sixes, maybe even low sevens. And as we've seen with a lot of these other companies, when the short sellers come in and cover their positions, if the stock does run high enough, even more volume comes in because the short sellers are covering the shorts, and you got buyers buying long, and that's going to drive the stock up even more. And I think, what is this? We're looking at end of September here, around here, October. I think you could potentially see this back up to, $8, $9. If everything goes according to plan, decent earnings, and it breaks out of this wedge. But long term, the way the company is growing their revenues quarter over quarter, year over year, I would be a buyer. However, right now at $5.39, trading roughly 4.5 times total revenue, I would hang out a little bit. I think long term, if you get positioned in this company like low fours, or even like slightly sub 5, high fours, I think you're going to see some decent returns over the years. I really do. Because I know that they're giving out, their small loans, and they got the student loan payments are going to start coming in again. And, with these financial companies, all you have to do is give them some time. Give them some years. Let them keep growing their business, growing their clientele. Let them start lending to more and more people, more and more companies and institutions. And, the sky's going to be the limit. The sky's going to be the limit. And if you can get into a company like this that explodes and becomes, a Wells Fargo, a Bank of America, a JP Morgan, but you got in when the market cap was only a couple of $1 billion, again, you're going to look like a genius. You're going to look like a champ. So right here, I would be patient. Just because people are talking about it doesn't mean it's a buy. It might just mean keep an eye on it. And that's the last note I would leave on here. Keep an eye on this. Draw out the trend lines on your own PCs or your own phones when you can. There's a 1-year chart. We got a descending wedge here. And like I said, try to get yourself in. If you can get in around here, this 4.5 mark, there's these low fours, and time yourself before this company posts earnings, I think not only in the short term could you potentially see a nice little bump, but long term, 2, 3, 5 years from now, I think position yourself in a company like this with growing revenue at a price of $4. I think will work out well for you long term. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. It means a lot to me. Just like everyone on YouTube says, if you like the video, boom, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. Definitely helps the algorithm, helps me get a couple of more eyes on the channel. And if you like the content I'm putting out, hit the subscribe button. Let me know you appreciate what I'm doing here. I hope I'm helping a couple of people out and slightly pointing you guys in a right direction, a more solid, concrete direction when you look and analyze stocks like this moving forward. Hopefully anything I bring to the table is helping to slightly educate you and, just help you make a more confident, better overall decision moving forward. But like I always say, moving forward, I know the markets have been a little rocky, a little volatile. We opened up down like 500 points on the Dow right after the open, and then, we've slowly been climbing since then. So sometimes it's hard to get your pricing and your timing right in a market like this. So moving forward, I wish everyone success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. And thanks for stopping by.